This next team we're going to talk about is honestly a backup from a team we mentioned earlier in this series. Gunselman Motorsports was a team that raced between 2009 and 2011. The team was founded by a part-time series driver in the Cup Series, Larry Gunselman. He would run for a few teams such as Race Stuff Motorsports, I kid you not, that's a real team, LJ Racing, Mach 1 Motorsports, and of course in 2005 and 2006, he tried to make the Daytona 500 with none other than Rick Rare Racing. The team's first ever attempt would be in the 2009 season at the Great American Race. They would run the number 64 Toyota machine. Unfortunately, they just did not have any speed at all during speed weeks and was not able to make it into the Daytona 500. They would go to the West Coast where they would have Todd Bodine try to make it into the California race as well as the race in Las Vegas. He failed to qualify for California, however he was able to make it into the Las Vegas race. Unfortunately, he finished 58 laps down. In the Atlanta race, they would try again with Jeff Bodine back in the car, but again, he would not be able to qualify, which would be the only time he'd be recorded running with the team. Todd Bodine would jump back into the number 64 machine, where he would try to attempt 6 of the next 8 races. He was able to make the first 2. Unfortunately, he parked and finished 42nd and 43rd in those races, but in the other 4 that he attempted, he was not able to qualify. So just like that, in a matter of 13 races, both the Bodine brothers were released from Gunselman Motorsports. Through the summer and fall stretch, they would actually hire on Mike Wallace to drive their number 64 machine. Mike Wallace would be able to make 2 races for the team, one at Pocono, which he had to park early because NASCAR black flagged him because they didn't have a pit crew, and New Hampshire, where he suffered brake issues and had to park, finishing 39th in that race. However, we must mention that Mike Wallace attempted 11 races for this team, which means he made 2, but he did not qualify for the other 9. Luckily, they ended on a good note for the 2009 season because Derek Cope was able to make the race for them at Martinsville. The only problem was he parked it after a few laps. Going into the 2010 season, we did not see this team attempt a race until the Richmond race in the springtime. They would have Tony Raines attempt the race, and believe it or not, he actually made it in, but once again parked, which means they finished 42nd. During the summer stretch, they would attempt 13 races, 12 of them coming from Todd Bodine, the driver who drove for them back in 2009, and Chad McCumbee at Pocono. Those 13 races, believe it or not, they actually made 8 of them, but their best finish was 37th, so it wasn't anything that spectacular. Near the end of the season, they would have Landon Castle drive their car, as well as Jeff Green. Unfortunately, most of the results were the same. But believe it or not, this is how the team ended in the 2011 season. They would have their primary driver get taken away from the Daytona 500, which was Todd Bodine, by the team that they were actually getting help from. So they would have Derek Cope try to make the race, but obviously he was not able to make it on speed. Then the team would give all their assets to Max Q Motorsports, a team that we mentioned earlier in this series. The team would do one more race, which would be the Sprint Showdown. They would have Derek Cope once again driving the number 64 car. Unfortunately, they would get in an accident with Landon Castle, and they would total their final car that they ever had. All in all, this team attempted about 40 races. Unfortunately, they were not able to qualify for about 27 of them, and they only had a best finish of about 36, DNFing in every single one, unfortunately making them one of the worst teams in NASCAR Cup Series history.